Thank you, President of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society, Mihir Bhai, then the Vice President of the BCA, Chirag Bhai, Kinjal, and the Speaker of the session, CA and Jayendran. It's indeed a pleasure for me to come on the platform of the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society as a keynote address for the purpose of keynote address. And friends, let me tell you the subject which have been chosen by the Bombay Chartered Accountants Society at the right time when the audit quality maturity model is going to be mandatory very soon. First of it, let me tell you why the need has arisen of the audit quality maturity model. In 2019, I remember well, we had meetings with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and this idea was thrown that there should be something on the quality of audit, where you can gauge the quality of audit. And when this idea was thrown by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, there were discussions that if some model comes, some tool comes, it will help the practicing units in the country where they would be in a position to gauge their quality or to assess or evaluate their quality into the audit and assurance services. However, when these talks were going on, we heard that this may go to somebody else if we are late in taking these steps. So immediately in 2020, the President Atul Gupta ji has thought of having the Center for Audit Quality established, and let me tell you, we are the second one who is having the Center for Audit Quality in the world, as well as I would say that we have organized a lot of programs where we are trying to build the capacity of all the practice units, that how the audit quality can be taken care of. And that's how, when this was a thought process at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and we took the opportunity, otherwise it would have gone to some other agency, and there could have been one more regulator for us. Besides, we are already being regulated by ICAI and NFRA. So we have shown them, we have shown to Ministry, Manoj Pandey and one more member were part of this CAQ, and they happily accepted this. Yes, you have taken a good step, and we are lucky enough that this has not gone to somebody else. But the important thing for all of us is this, that how we comply with all the requirements of audit quality maturity model. And as nearby was saying, that it's a forward-looking step, CMM 5 compliant in case of the NESCOM meeting. We also have the DCMM, not CMM, where version 2 has already come, Digital Competency Maturity Model. And when that model is established and was started being used by the other countries also, the accounting bodies of other countries also across the globe, we felt that there is a need that we must have the model in sustainability, model in audit quality, and that's how two more things have taken place. And in the Center for Audit Quality, we decided to have the audit quality maturity model, and next will be practice maturity model. So in audit quality maturity model, this was well explained in the addressed by the BCA's President Mihir Bhai that it's a cross-functional evaluation which covers lot many areas, not only the audit quality, but all other things too: budgeting, pricing, technology, quality control, engagements, human resource management, compensations, evaluations, and all those things. But this is there, and these have been divided again into three parts. So we will be discussing those three parts also. But as I told you that it is becoming applicable to certain categories of the companies where the firms are auditors from 1st of April 2023. So the firms who are the auditors for the listed companies, the firms who are the auditors of the banks and corporate banks other than the cooperative banks, except multi-state cooperative. The cooperative banks are not included, but multi-state cooperative banks are included. Then insurance companies. So if you are auditor of these three kind of clients, then this is applicable to you. However, the branches of insurance company as well as the branches of banks, if you are auditor of only branch, then only branches, then it is not applicable to you. You still can evaluate yourself where you stands for, and it is going to be a capacity building tool for all of you if you really evaluate yourself on this maturity model. Because see, the problem with we all practicing chartered accountant is that we try to comply with the requirement at the fag end. But if it starts the compliance at the beginning or well in advance, I think the result will be much better. And there will be no pendency at the fag end. Today, we are seeing some difficulties into it. Jayendran Bhai, then Manish Bhai Sampat, Vijay Maniarji, and Nilesh Vikamse. From here, they are always guiding on the various things with respect to the audit quality maturity model and various AQIs into it, audit quality indicators. And let me tell you, we have studied the AQIs of not less than 9 countries, which are developed countries, where certain set of AQIs are there, and on the basis of those, combining those, and which are more suitable into the Indian scenario, an Indian corporate scenario, an Indian practice unit scenario, we have taken care and we have added all those AQIs into it. So the practicing units can take care of it. Now, as I told you that AQMM is becoming applicable from 1st of April 2023. What is important here is whether AQMM needs to be evaluated for each firm in a network. It is yes, if you are the auditor. Each firm is the auditor of the listed company or these kind of category, then yes, it is applicable to each firm of the network. Only lead firm, it will become applicable to only lead firm. No, it is not like that. Suppose there are 10 network firms into one network, and each firm is doing the audit of the listed companies or the banks or the insurance companies, then it will become applicable to all of them. Evaluation of AQMM requires exercise of professional judgment. Your professional skill set will decide on the evaluation of audit quality maturity model. Audit firms are required to maintain documentations or documents justifying the judgment underlying the score considered. Now, let me tell you that everybody feels that they are in level 4. There are going to be level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. And when they start doing the evaluation, the firms feel that yes, they are coming into the level 4 only because they are having everything available at their place. You can say so, but when it will be checked by the peer reviewer or the AQMM reviewer, and if you cannot produce the required documents which are supporting your judgment, then I think it will be trouble for the firm who have self-evaluated, and the peer reviewer or the AQMM reviewer will have the right to change the scoring. If AQMM reviewer has done some mistake, probably it will be a challenge for the AQMM reviewer too, because sooner or later there'll be a surprise inspection also into the AQMM review, because our motto is ultimately to improvise the audit quality. If the audit quality is not improvised, then it may create the problems which is being faced by the audit fraternity today will continue to be there, and the stakeholders at large will raise the fingers on the chartered accountant fraternity that yes, your quality is not good, where as we are putting the best of efforts. Now, what is the periodicity of the AQMM? So, see, the self-evaluation is to be done by you, and if for this particular 1st April period, if your peer review is coinciding, you get it done through the peer review. If it is not coinciding with the peer review cycle, then what you can do is you self-evaluate yourself and send a request to peer review board or the Center for Audit Quality to have the AQMM review done. Then the peer reviewer has done your review earlier. He would be given the job of reviewing the audit quality maturity model, where you have done your self-evaluation, and if there are any change into it, it will be intimated, and the scores will be awarded according to the reviewer's score. And that, let me tell you, when I am talking of scores, the score cannot be published anywhere. The level will be published. Earlier, level will also not allowed to be published. And if it is only a self-evaluated level cannot be published at any place, neither on your website nor on ICAI's website, or you cannot print all these things on your stationery too, that you are level 1 firm, level 2 firm, level 3 firm, level 4 firm. So that care is to be taken by all of you. But once the AQMM reviewer has done the review, then ICAI will also host the level on the ICAI's website that this firm is into level 1 or level 2 or level 3 or level 4, and that particular firm can also host on their website that their firm is into AQMM level. Their firm is AQMM level 1 firm or AQMM level 2 firm or AQMM level 3 or 4 firm. So they can put on their website too. Thereafter, once it is being done by the peer reviewer or AQMM reviewer. So that care is to be taken. If you have done prior to it, then it is going to be a problem for you. Some regulatory actions can be taken or may take place. Now, as I told you that there are scoring of points are there, and this is version 1. There are 3 different sections into it: practice management operation, human resource management, and practice management strategic and functional. In the first one section, there are around 280 points divided into various AQIs. Then in human resource management, there are 240 points. And in the practice management strategic and functional, there are 80 points, making total of 600. And out of 600, you have to score. And when the level is to be decided, uh, on the basis of scoring of percentage in the each section. So when I'm talking of these three sections again have total 17 subsections. In section 1, there are 9 subsections. In section 2, there are 5 subsections. And in section 3, there are 3 subsections. The first one, when we talk of this, which 9 are there, is the practice areas of the firm, then the workflow practice manuals, quality review manuals, service delivery and efforts monitoring. Then it comes to benchmarking of the service delivery, client sensitizations. Then it comes to the technology adoptions, revenue budgeting and pricing too. If we talk of the section 2 where the 5 are there, so these are management, resource planning and monitoring as per the policies. Then it comes to the employment training and development, resource turnover and compensations, and then qualification skill set of employees and use of experts, performance evaluations. Then in case of the third one section, there are 3: practice management, infrastructure, physical and others, and the practice credentials. Practice credential are the negative points also. Then as I told you that these are the 3 sections. In these 3 sections, very recently some changes have taken place, which I must bring it to your knowledge, that in section 1.6 into bracket 2 is a clause where the number of statutory engagement, reword, filing errors, information, insufficiency, wrong interpretation of the provisions. The total possible points are given over there. In the same way, it was there for the number of clients dispute other than the fees disputes and how they are addressed. So certain percentage non-compliances are there on the basis of the negative scoring has been considered over there. In detail, Jayendran ji will discuss with all of you. I just wanted to tell you that how to arrive on the levels. As I told you that when any level is to be decided, that you have to score certain percentage in each level. If in one level, in one section, you have 50%, in another section you have 75%, and in the third section you have 85%, then the level will be of 50% only, and not of the 85% or 75%. So the scoring has to be of the same range in all the 3 sections. So level 1 is what? Up to 25% in each section. If you have scored, then you are into level 1. And level 1 indicates the thing that you are at a very nascent stage. You need to take immediate steps to upgrade competency level and build this skill set, or otherwise you will be lagging behind. Then the next level is level 2, which is where the range is 25 to 50%. This shows that you have done some progress, but there is a lot of scope where you can do many things. You have to fine tune to reach on a higher level further and increase the level of competency. Then the third one is 50 to 75%, level 3. That indicates the firm has made substantial progress. We'll have to further fine tune to reach the highest level of competency, which is known as the level 4. And if you are having 75% and above 75%, you are at the best level, and you have adopted significantly the standards and various procedures which you have laid down, and you should continue to focus on optimizing further. Now, very soon, as of today, you are doing manually the evaluation, but very soon you will find that the audit quality maturity model evaluation will be done online. So the model is already ready. It can be launched on any day. It was supposed to be launched on 12th day, but somehow we couldn't find the time. So it will be launched on the very first council meeting, hopefully, where you would be in a position to self-evaluate yourself on online basis, and that will be reviewed by the peer reviewer or the AQMM reviewer, where you have to upload the documents which are required to support the score which you have considered fit for you, and that will be checked by the peer reviewer or the AQMM reviewer. One thing which is very important for all of you, which I must tell, that whatever documents you are uploading, it is not downloadable at all, cannot be copied. So rest assured, the secrecy is being maintained completely. The only risk which I feel which can happen is if somebody is, you cannot take even the screenshot. If somebody is having the other camera and takes the pics, you cannot avoid it. But and that happens in any case, any other case also. So we have inbuilt a system in the digital evaluation of AQMM that you don't face that risk, that your system, your checklist will be copied by somebody else. So rest assured from the ICAI side that we have taken care of this. With this, I thank you all for giving me patient listening, and I'll remain through the whole session. I have a flight at 9:55. I'll try to remain through, where Jayendran ji is going to deal with the challenges in the implementation of the AQMM. Yes, it is AQMM version 1, and anything which comes first time, it always has a challenges, but one need to convert those challenges into opportunity. Whoever converts first the challenges into opportunities, then probably that firm is going to be one of the best firm. And what is being expected by our Prime Minister also, that our Indian firm should grow to the level that there are another big 4 firms which are Indian grown firms, which is known as the multinational firm. So this kind of tool will help the Indian firms to grow much bigger. All these are there in case of well-established firms, but probably for a smaller firm, medium firm, it is not there. And this tool will enable them. And just to make enable to all our members, we have already given free of cost. We have started giving free of cost practice management tool. You can register yourself. It is there on the website of ICAI CMP committee. The tool has already been finalized, and it is on the cloud, freely downloadable, and you would be able to manage your practice. The next one which is coming is data analytics tool, which will also be given free of cost. Then the third one which is going to come is audit documentation tool, and the fourth one will be the digital library. So these four things are coming, which will be given to all the practicing chartered accountant, which will be free, which will be available to them free of cost. And from the next year onwards, if at all there are some charges, it will be a minimal charges where the institute is not going to earn a single penny. Rather, we will be putting from the institute side, but the actual cost which is there for the purpose of maintenance, it will be paid by the user directly to the vendor and not to the institute. Most probably this may come, but we are trying to provide, and we have set aside approximately 30 crore rupees for these kind of tools to be given to all our practicing chartered accountants who are into the audit and assurance practice. Thank you, Mihir Bhai, for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this wonderful discussion where challenges are going to be faced by CA and Jayendran. I have just introduced the subject, and probably whatever challenges he faces, I'll take it to the council and we'll try to come out with the solutions for those challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Durgesh. Very well articulated and very well concluded. And I'm quite sure we have really great things to look forward from learned people like you, Mr. Jayendran, and also the Institute. And we must really congratulate the ICAI for the human service that they would have provided by these models being made freely available for a year for people to practice. Thank you once again. And I'm quite sure that, you know, though you may not be there in the picture, but you are with us at least, not only for this lecture, but for all throughout. So we look forward. Thank you. Over to you, sir. Mr. Jayendran.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Durgesh, Office Bearer of BCS, and the participants. I will show my PPT. My PPT is titled Challenges in Implementation of AQMM. But these are the challenges in implementation. But at the beginning, let me tell you, the ICAI developed the Audit Quality Maturity Model, a tool to evaluate and grade audit firms based on their capability. It is a capacity building initiative, as said by Mr. Durgesh Kabra. Prima facie, this is a much desired, long awaited, brilliant initiative, and of course, a welcome measure. So while I'm going to deal with challenges, I am for it. And as Mr. Durgesh has said, that the Institute will try to address the challenges that we face, and maybe in version 2.0 or come up with more guidance on this, which can be used by the practice unit and also by the peer reviewer, because the challenges are both for the practice units to demonstrate and for the peer reviewer to check. So these are what I am going to deal with in the next few slides of mine.
Jayendran,
As per the
can I say something? I just want to add one more thing. When we were discussing about this in the World Congress for the AQMM, the leaders of the various accounting bodies were there. 50 accounting bodies leaders. We had a meeting with them, and we have presented the initiatives taken by the ICAI, where we are the leader. So DCMM is one which was developed by ICAI first time. The Audit Quality Maturity Model, which is again, we are the first in the world to develop any maturity model for audit quality. And then the third one is SRMM, fourth one is the UDIN, and fifth one is the Forensic Accounting Standard. So these are the 5 things which has taken place in the ICAI, and we are the leaders into it. When we have presented, all these were well accepted by them. And they said, please do share. We are ready to pay. Then we said, no, we don't need any money from you. You can use it free of cost from our side. will not have any charges for all of you. Yes, you have to take a permission from us. So a simple mail has to come and will allow you to use, because we are having the copyright for all these things. So this is what I just wanted to convey, that we, the ICAI have started thinking in a different way. The time was there when the ICAI was adopting the various standards from the other accounting bodies, whereas now the ICAI is in a different league where they are setting the standards and the other countries have started following us. That is only I just wanted to continue.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jayendran bhai, I have stopped you in between. You can continue.
No. Sure,
Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So I was on this brief of the AQMM, where I said that as per the explanatory memorandum, the evaluation metric is for a sole proprietor or an audit firm to be able to self-evaluate the current level of audit maturity, identify areas where competencies are good or lacking, and then develop a roadmap for upgrading to a higher level of maturity. The theme of AQMM is based on self-evaluation. It is mandatory for the period from April 1, 2023, as mentioned by Mr. Durgesh Kabra, and will be vetted by the peer reviewer. The advantage that one can perceive, these are my views. At present, there is only one reference point, which is a big 4 or a big 5. Beyond that, there is no reference for those who are the firms that do audit, what are their capabilities and experience. Much of the assignments are allotted based on contacts and hearsay. This AQMM fills that gap by providing a platform where these firms are listed and their AQM levels are plotted. It is expected that the AQM level will be displayed at a suitable place on the ICAI website. This is based on the preface to AQMM 1.0 revised. It's mentioned that the AQM finding will be posted on the website of ICAI, where the seekers of assurance services would access and see the listed firms and their AQMM status. The advantage of the AQMM is a reference point for those who need to appoint CA firms for assurance engagement, and also to assess quality of existing relationship. It's not only for those who want a CA firm, but they will also be able to evaluate the existing relationship wherever your auditor to see. The audit committee may want to know what is the maturity level. So it will be a reference point for that too. However, the explanatory memorandum provides that self-evaluated AQMM cannot be used on visiting card, letterhead, signboard, website, etc. So only if you are getting peer reviewed, then only your AQMM level will be displayed on a suitable website, and you can also put it up on your website. You need the certificate from the peer review board for this. The coverage of entities, he has already covered it. I will run through this. The only thing that I would like to say that it does not cover audits of other regulated entities like NBFCs, where RBI has set up a whole parameter of who is eligible to do NBFCs up to an asset size level of 1,000 to 15,000, 15,000 and above. Material subsidiaries of listed companies are left out. Some of these material subsidiaries are quite large, and in order that the audit of these entities are done by a firm who processes a reasonable level, it is suggested or recommended that in the next round these entities may also be covered. Self-certification third-party certification. The AQMM is designed as a self-evaluation model for those to whom it is not mandatory, can do the self-evaluation, but cannot use a score or grading either in their website or communication. However, with effect from April 1, it is mandatory and will be reviewed and certified by the peer reviewer. There is an old maxim, as you sow, so you reap. So those who did not score in their AQMM round 1 can address their shortcoming and seek re-evaluation of their AQMM score by writing again to the AQMM. You don't have to wait, I think, for the next 3 years. Of course, this is my view. Mr. Durgesh Kabra can clarify that if I want to reassess, I did not do well, I had shortcomings, I can address them and maybe call them again after 2 years, 1.5 years, not wait for the next cycle of my peer review.
Yes,
of course, at my cost.
Yes, it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah.
If you are improving in the next year itself, that you are from level 1 to level 2, you are going, you want to get it done, reviewed again, you can suo moto request the PRB or CAQ, and it will be done.
Right. The fees and methodology of the same is not clear, but needs to be addressed. I think this will be addressed in due course. Whether I'll be paying the same fees which I do for a complete peer review, or will I be paying separate fees for only doing the
there is a
AQMM review?
separate there is a separate fees generated by which is peer review plus AQMM review. AQMM review is a separate fees, and maybe approximately around highest is the 20% of the peer review fees, and somewhere it may be even less when it is a higher amount of fees. So
Fine.
I think highest amount of fees is 30,000 rupees in case of AQMM review. So
which
it's already
is
approved, and we have
correct.
put on the website. You can
Okay, I have missed this portion, but yes, I think it's a very welcome suggestion. So those who frequently certified base review will have the name hosted on the website. This all has been discussed. But having said that, anything which is first time has its challenges. It's a new thing. It's something new. There are implementation issues which I will try to address and seek clarity from the ICAI, CAQ, as the case may be. The data of which date? This is the first and foremost challenge. At present, there are a number of statistical information related to the firm which are required to be considered for the purpose of the score. If the peer review is for 3 years, then which information is to be considered? For example, in my own case, my next peer review is for a period from 1st April 20 to 31st March 23, which may happen in the year 24. Then for the purpose of data of revenue, number of qualified XCAs, etc., the data of 1st April 20, 31st March 23, or a mid-average or an average is to be considered. That is not clear. Even the IG is not clarifying this. At present, the common consensus that as on 31st March 2023, for 22-23, whatever is my revenue breakup, I should get points on the basis of that. And the qualified CAs that I had on 31st March 23, those should be considered for the purpose of scoring wherever, based on number of CAs, number of branches, I get points. So those should be as on the last day of the review period, is what is my understanding. Maybe the IG can clarify this so that peer reviewers are also aligned to what the thought of the practice unit is. The scoring pattern, Mr. Durgesh Kabra has explained. The scoring pattern is the maximum point that can be granted to an audit firm is as follows: 280 for practice management operations, 240 for human resource management, practice management, statistical and functional is 80 points. Here, the point that I would like to make is the most important aspect of audit quality is the practice management, which ought to have at least 60%. The allocation to HR management is very large, and there are various aspects in HR which are given more points than an important technical requirement of the practice management operations. So these anomalies and the scoring may need to be addressed after some due deliberation with actual practicing units, with actual peer reviewers who have done quite a bit of good quality peer review. With the CAQ, the council, maybe we need to just realign the scoring in version 2.0. As of now, this is a given. This is what it is. But be that it may be, I would like to mention that there are certain places where this may need a review. Scoring for each section at present, based on the points derived in each section, the level of the firm is determined. The following table displays the basis of scoring. However, the firm has different scoring in different sections, and the one with the lowest score is considered for the purpose of overall ranking of the firm. So this is the score which he has already dealt with, so I will not repeat them. The next point is scoring in each bullet point, in each of the points for which scoring is there. At present, the scheme of AQMM is that there is no graded scoring for any section. It is either full marks or 0. Therefore, there is no extra point for taking better steps for any particular facet of the AQMM. For example, a good quality audit manual, a well-defined checklist, and other formats, a full-fledged effort in implementing a particular initiative will get the same amount of points that someone who progresses half-heartedly. If someone has formats for 3 items, another firm has formats for 10 items, they both will get the same amount of score because the scoring is either full. I may say that I just need 3 formats and I have them. Someone says, no, I need 20 formats. I have 20 different things for which I have a format. Both of us would get the same points. So the IG also does not deal with graded scoring, excepting where it's a numeral, where, for example, based on number of CAs, number of audits reworked, those are number based. The rest of it is either you're there or you're not there. There is no quality. For example, I may cover an audit manual which has got only 20 pages. Somebody else may make an audit manual which has got 200 pages. For all practical purposes, I think both of us would get the same amount of points. Qualitative aspects are not given additional points at present as per the scoring pattern of the AQMM.
There are certain AQIs where the points are given on the basis of the progress done, and there are only 4 or 5 points, 4 or 5 cases where the numbers are even more, scoring numbers are even more. So the points are given on the basis of the progress done by the firm. That what progress, what is the checklist, and in how many companies it has been done or so. Some in 5 AQIs, I remember well, it is there,
right,
which is having the bigger number of score also. Rest of the things, yes, this is the thing that it is 100% given, whether you have only just the checklist or you have implemented also. But hopefully, since this has come to the knowledge, the next question, whenever it comes, we'll try to resolve the things.
Yes, sir. Yes.
At least it is a beginning. Let the practicing firms be ready with the checklist.
I am reiterating that while I'm discussing challenges, I affirm that this is a welcome step and this is a much awaited initiative, and we all need to wholeheartedly work towards it and improve our position. Maybe if we can interact with the CAQ and we can get version 2.0 faster, that will be the best thing which can happen. Other issues in the AQMM, there is no clarity what data would be put up on the website. Now I have clarity, as he said, whether only the firm's level or the detailed breakup of the shortcoming and positive would be put. Now, Mr. Durgesh Kabra has clarified this, so this point is addressed. There are certain clauses where there is negative scoring, especially in para 3.3 practice credential, where certain questions like advisory of unsatisfactory work by CAG, debarring or blacklisting by government bodies and regulators, negative assessment by QRB, cases of professional misconduct where the same is proved. In these cases, whether a total allocation of -25 would meet the criteria of penalizing, especially for debarring or blacklisting or negative assessment by QRB, or should the AQM score in such cases be withheld? This is not addressed right now. I may score well, but if I'm already blacklisted, I just lose -5 points out of my total points. So I'm blacklisted by a regulator, but I still can do work, and I still can show that I'm a level 3 or level 4 because 5 points in the whole thing is not very large. So this is something that one needs to look at, CAQ needs to look at and come up with guidance on this for these specific negative assessments, whether just minus is adequate or we need to do something more.
Now, the thought process behind this was, Jayendran, by that if one regulator has banned one particular point, why the whole practice should be banned of the firm? So we have thought of that only this much negative marks should be there. Otherwise, the whole the purpose of allotting the level will go. At this, the fellow firm, the firm can have, after deducting 5 or 10 or 25, whatever is the negative points, if the firm is coming into X category or Y category, let it come in level 1, level 2, level 3 also.
Okay.
So that was the thought process, that we should not restrict completely the firm. Otherwise, that firm will not have the opportunity to improvise because they are banned. Correct. So that was the thought.
Okay. At present, established and larger firm will be an advantage initially till the mid-sized firm or small-sized firm scale up and put their process in place. So the first round, we may not be doing too well, those who don't scale up. And therefore, we need, Durgesh, more and more programs. I know you are saying that you are no more convener, but please make sure that we need more and more programs. Every study circle needs to have a program and CAQ. Every study circle needs to have program and SQC, because all SQC related points are coming up in AQMM we are only talking of tax, income tax, etc. section. We need to have more of this. Otherwise, the mid-sized firm, small-sized firm will never be able to scale up. There are various duplicates in the questions. I will run through this in the interest of time so that we can deliberate more. For non-identity effects at multiple places, and some identities give bonus points. The weights are different for the same set of questions or parameters, and therefore the overall score in each section gets affected differently. For example, in 1.72, the issues are similar to issues listed in 1.43, 1.41, and seems to be a duplication. 1.72 has a score of 8, 1.43 and 4 together account for 28. So because the slides are getting bigger, I haven't reproduced, but one can look at them. The second bullet in 1.80 under technological absorption has scores for automation of leave and attendance. This seems to be misplaced as the same as part of HR and it's not technology adoption for practice management. So maybe they should move to HR. Similar project or activity management and timesheet management in the third bullet are already part of 1.43 and 1.44. So the same timesheet activity management gets duplicated at 3-4 places. We get points, either we lose points or we have points for the same set of things that we have or we don't have. The seventh bullet on client interaction and sending alert is similar to the issues covered and discussed in 1.71 on awareness meeting and updating clients. So these are also again duplications. 2.1 is part of SQC1 for selecting and using the person with the right skill sets for the right job. Therefore, it is more of an engagement process than an HR process. 2.12 and 2.13 deals with methods to keep resource allocation and timesheets. It's also part of practice management, not an HR function, already covered in 1.44. So the same thing comes in HR also. 2.31 says, does a firm evaluate a team composition overall to build the team strength, say number of managers, asset managers, paid assets, so and so. This is similar to what was asked in 2.14, where the partner to manager ratio, partner to article ratio are asked. Therefore, this is plotted in a different tone, but the substance is the same. Access and use of technology, infrastructure, methodology for better enablement of day-to-day work, including favorable remote working policies. This was already asked in 2.23, where the details of technology tools was asked. How is the answer going to this going to be different? 2.41 gives scores for number of professionally qualified ACA, FCA, and 2.33 gives scores on number of qualified professionals retained. Again, they both are the same. So generally, a CA firm may have 1 or 2 company secretaries, but if you look at ACA, we have already been evaluated in 2.41. They're again evaluated in 2.33. Are there adequate DA and IT infrastructure available, and are they being used for the relevant assignment? Once again, audit tool data analytics are given points which are already covered in 2 sections earlier as discussed. It appears that the same issues are being replotted to increase the number of points and the score table. Now we'll get into specifics on practice management operations, the issues that we look at. Total score is 280. Revenue from audit and assurance, 8 points. Whether revenue has to be considered based on as billed, as billable, or as received. Further, a predominantly tax firm will not score on this, even though they also have a solid audit quality in the audits they do. Less than 50% is 0. Notwithstanding, the number of audits cannot decide the audit quality. In 1.11, vision and mission statement, 4 points. This statement must be internal to the firm and not a public matter. A glorified vision and mission statement would amount to surrogate advertising and publicity, which is something that is prohibited by the Code of Ethics. Demonstrating implementation is the challenge. IG splits the point into having a vision and mission statement and implementing it. But I think if you look at the form by itself, AQMM, it doesn't talk of a split of this thing. So this would again become a surrogate advertising. People will put up across the places all these things, whether our Code of Ethics needs revision, our CA Act needs revision, needs to be just evaluated, because this vision and mission statement is only internal. It cannot be a public document. Presence of audit manual is given 8 points.
Jayendran ji, the vision and mission statement here again. So whatever the various SQC related document or vision and mission document, it is your vision and mission, but it is not a public document. This is for sure, and which is not allowed. But in the ethical standard board also we have discussed this, and certain things you can mention as a vision mission. You cannot say that you are the best, you are this, you are the, if you are saying that you are trying to propagate yourself as one of the best, then it is a problem. You are providing certain, you have vision that you want to achieve these things, and you want to do everything ethically and all these things, then fine. So it has to be reasonable enough. If it is not reasonable and you are trying to highlight much more things where you doesn't fit at all, then it will create problem to the firm. So they have to be
Sir,
very careful.
I agree to what you're saying, but we need guidance, because otherwise it will be difficult to implement it, and peer reviewer will be finding it extremely difficult to
yes,
assess and mark this.
Do agree.
Yeah. Sir, audit manual, I've got just 8 points. The preparation of an audit manual is a mammoth exercise, and for just 8 points, someone may desist from preparing an audit manual. 8 points out of 600 is 1.33%. Now, people say that having checklist is an audit manual. Audit manual is all about how you do your audit, how you give instructions to people, how do you do vouching, how do you do scrutiny, what are the documentation that you have. It's a complete book. If you were to prepare it, 8 points, getting 8 points for that is something that I say, ठीक है, मुझे नहीं करना है 8 points के लिए, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए 8 points. So this is where the problem would be. As against this, sir, a properly updated manual and workflow document can be the backbone for training and execution and must be given a higher score. This is the backbone. If I have an audit manual, my new recruits, I tell them, 2 दिन बैठ के यही पढ़ो आप. सब कुछ मैंने सिखा दिया. मेरे process क्या है, मेरे books में, what is my methodology, what is my audit manual. So giving this 8 points, I think needs a revision. On a comparison, one gets 12 points for having a geofiber connection for as much as 12,000 per annum in section 3, which works out to 15%. If I just have a good internet connection, I get 12 points. I have to do nothing in it. I just have to pay 12,000 per annum to get a good internet connection, and I get 12 points for it. And that is 15% I get in that section. And for doing something which is my backbone, I just get 1.33%. So we need to revisit this. Availability of standard format, 8 points. This AQM speaks about availability and not usage. If the firm has not used the format, then also they get points. Service delivery effort monitoring, capacity planning, budgeting and planning, actual versus budget. The AQM does not distinguish between capacity planning for audits covered for mandatory AQMM and those not covered under AQMM. So when I am talking about capacity planning, I may have a small audit. I do a small trust audit. I do a small tax audit. I do maybe some doctors. I do some lawyers tax audit. I do. Whether all these budgeting, etc., has to be done only for those large, which I call category 1 audits, or will I do for sundries also? That clarity, if it is there even in the application guidance, it will help, because the effort in doing something, budgeting, planning for a small audit may not be commensurate, but it should be there for those either covered by AQMM or which cover a major part of my revenue. So I have already addressed this. Whether a firm has to maintain full records for all audit or only the large audit, considering the Pareto's principle of say 80-20, even the value may not be more than 10% of the total assurance revenue. So these small and sundry audits, if you look at any mid-sized firm also, the value of this in number may be more, but in value term may be less than 10% of the total assurance fees. So whether I have to maintain all these records for these entities also, or only maintain those which are risk and which are large and which are covered for AQMM. So that clarity is desirable. Quality control over engagement, similar issue, compliance to paragraph 60 of SQC 1 for quality review. Para 60 deals with EQCR, internal, but the IG refers to external inspection. 1.52, the points are granted for internal quality review being successful. The higher the quality review are successful, the higher the points. This may impact the way the internal quality review is handled and reported. The firm may not report quality issues in the quest for getting better points. So care and issue is taken in implementing this. Satisfactory external inspection. Not many audits are covered for QRB. Even in FRRB review, there is no information to the firm of the audit being picked up and receiving satisfactory compliance. Only for unsatisfactory compliance, the disciplinary proceedings are initiated. Therefore, for those practice units whose audits have not been subject to such findings, the filling up of this clause may pose challenge, or they should get 100% points. That clarity is not there. For example, none of my audits have been subject to QRB, for example. Then what do I get? I get 0, or I remove from numerator and denominator, or I get full marks. That clarity is not there in the IG also. We need clarity on that. As per QRB, in fact, the QRB preface also says, or the document says, if the previous quality review was satisfactory, then the QRB picks only one audit for quarter review. But this would result in getting 100% success on that one assignment being selected. This would result in getting 20 points. So even the QRB says that if my last QRB was satisfactory, I will only be subject to one more audit in the next cycle. So that one audit will result in I getting 20 points. And for those who are not subject to QRB at all, they may not have done a sensitive audit earlier. How do they score on this? So do I remove it from denominator and numerator, or do I get 100% point? That clarity would be required. Benchmarking of service delivery. The question is for implementing standard delivery methodology. The latter part of the question talks of audit manual adherence to practice tools, etc. This requirement is not very clear. For audit manual and practice, the points are already allocated elsewhere. So what is the meaning of implementing standard delivery methodology? The number of statutory audits reworked. In statutory audit, rework would mean withdrawal of report and reissuance. This is generally a rarity, and therefore what would constitute rework is to be defined, because rework would only mean I withdraw a report or I reissue a report. Many times I reissue a report because the client has missed and he says that I'm redoing my accounts, and I issue a revised report. Whether that will amount to rework, because unless the rework is because of my folly, I should not be penalized for this. 1.6 deals with client disputes other than fees dispute. How is the evaluation to be done unless it is escalated to disciplinary committee is not clear. The implementation of this clause may pose problems, especially when it has negative scoring. So what is the client dispute? Because unless it gets escalated to disciplinary committee, nobody is going to report this. My client said that my people are coming and talking a lot on the phone. These don't get recorded. This won't get recorded also. So what exactly are the client disputes that we're talking about? Because fee disputes are out of this. The chance of this getting dropped in AQMM may be low, as it will result in negative marking. This challenge also needs to be addressed. Technology absorption, automated attendance system. The IG requires IP-based attendance monitoring system. Most of the firm works on a trust basis with their staff, and this additional tracking of IP-based logging of time and attendance would promote distrust among staff members. We know the man is there, he's doing his work. If I start telling him that tum wahan jaake mere ko wahan se apna attendance dalo, I want to know whether you're sitting over there, it actually in the zest of getting a point, I'm actually showing that I don't trust you. So this is something which needs to be looked at. Data security and cyber security. What is a good data and cyber security is a challenge. In the recent months, large corporations who have fully developed systems and has a very heavy IT budget have been hacked through ransomware. So what would a CA firm be said to have a good data security and cyber security? Even the likes of Tata Powers and a lot of other companies have been hacked, have gone through ransomware, their systems were down. So what are we? Our IT budgets are not that very large. So what would be constitute data security and cyber security? Some guidance on this to get score and to either self-evaluate or how the peer reviewer is going to look at it. Revenue, budgeting and pricing. Fee consideration must not affect the quality of work. The demonstration of this requirement is extremely difficult. Most firms take up the work considering the fee and the risk involved, which is a matter of professional judgment. How does this translate to a demonstration is difficult to envisage. Yes, SQC says that your fee consideration must not affect the quality of work. We don't do that because why should we take a risk on our head? We may next time resign from an assignment or renegotiate and get back. But how do I demonstrate? How do I say that I have never done an audit? where I took up because my fee was low, I didn't do proper work. Very difficult to explain or demonstrate this. Adherence to minimum scale of fees. While the minimum fees is adhered to in all large and risky audits, every firm has number of small inoperative or companies with minimal operation. The recommended fees for such audit as per ICAI schedule are large both for audit and for tax work. To adhere to this will be extremely difficult. The IG also does not address whether this is to be applied for major assignments or for all the assignments. The small and miscellaneous work in terms of number and value are minimal and generally are part of a larger group, but adherence is to be done at each engagement level. So how do you adhere to, for example, many companies have got small, I wouldn't call them shell. There's only very less activity we may do the audit for adhering to the minimum fees based on number of partners. But the guidance which is there, the recommendatory minimum recommendatory scale of fees, talks that in a private company you should at least charge, I think, 25 or 30,000 rupees, or even for a tax audit. How would you adhere to this, especially for the small one? The larger and risky audits, you generally make sure that your fees are commensurate with the work, the risk involved. But along with that comes plethora of small audits where you may find it extremely difficult to adhere to the minimum fees recommended in the ICAI. So here again, the point was this, that whether if 90% of my fees are adhering to the minimum fees, 10% is not adhering to minimum fees, what happens? That is what is the point. Of course, the points also are 50% plus, we get full points, but we need to get more clarity on this. Challenges which mid-sized firms need to address in the practice management section. There are many points to be scored for keeping budgets and monitoring records and tools. Most of these in mid-sized firms are being controlled by the senior partners more informally and as a backup envelope calculation. Many firms maintain for the large and important audit and do not cover the various tax audit, trust audit, and other proprietorship audits. They will have to now start engaging in maintaining tools for the same so that they can demonstrate the process to the reviewer. The higher the engagement where the budgets are maintained, the higher the points in AQMM. The challenge in this is considerable time would be spent on keeping such records for gaining points, which is going to eat into the time for execution. In 1.5V, there is a requirement of maintaining dedicated help desk. Very few of the firm have a dedicated help desk. Generally, cross support from other team members is the basis of seeking guidance. Therefore, adequate documentation demonstrates the existence of a help desk and its documentation needs to be addressed. What is help desk? Like most firms have, if there's an issue, refer it to the top 2 or 3 people asking them for guidance. So a mail is sent to them. So would that amount to help desk, or do I need to have a chartered accountant sitting on a desk whose job is only to answer queries? So that clarity is not there. The CMP initiative providing audit tools and audit documents for which all members recently gave their consent will address a lot of scores on the practice management plan, which I think Mr. Durgesh Kabra has addressed this point. So at that point of time, we didn't know, but that will be a very welcome tool, because if I can use that tool to cover most of my practice points, that I will be home at least 50%. Section 2 for human resource management, total of 240 points. 2.11, this clause says whether the engagement resource planning is done as per the skill sets. Most of the audits are manned by qualified assistants. Demonstrate the skill set otherwise would be difficult. One must look at SA 600 that you are allowed to rely on the work of another chartered accountant. So where this is the backbone of the SA 600 that we have implemented, not the one which is there internationally, that a chartered accountant is supposed to be, we are entitled to rely on his work. So to demonstrate whether he's got the skill set or not would be difficult so long as we have a qualified assistant on the job. 2.14, this clause requires a firm to maintain a minimum staff to partner ratio, partner to manager ratio, manager to article ratio, client to staff ratio. In many mid-sized firms, the number of partners and managers are for the firm as a whole, and there is no manager to partner fixed reporting. There is generally assignment specific reporting. The IG, however, says that this ratio should be spelled out engagement wise. Therefore, the SQC document needs to be suitably modified to address the firm's policy for the ratio. The SQC document of the firm then needs to be addressed to say that for every large engagement, This is my ratio for that engagement, mid-size engagement. This is the ratio that I maintain for engagement. And adherence to that, based on the sample picked up by the peer reviewer, should assist the entity to get their points. 2.1V, this clause asks whether the firm monitors the utilization and realization rate per employee. I'm not sure how many mid-sized firms have such granular information for each employee. This should be a challenging ask for many firms. The mid-sized firm will now have to recruit a team for HR and admin functions to keep records and documents to ensure that they do not lose points in the AQMM score. So that would mean that I will need an HR team, I'll need an admin team, which otherwise was being handled by one or two partners of the firm. Because if the partners were to do all of this, it will eat into their time, which is spent on the engagements. We already work, most of us know, chartered accountants' work-life balance is very poor. So to add to all of this would be extremely difficult. I don't think we have the time. So it will only mean that we need to hire and engage HR and admin people in the firm, which would just increase our cost. But in the interest of getting an AQMM score, one has to do it. In 2.21 and 2.22, the firm is to have a staff training policy. Number of hours expected to be spent for training is as follows. For junior level, the number of hours is 60. Mid-level, the number of hours is 30 to 60. For partner, this number is 30 years. It is not clear if the structured CPE will be included or this is over and above that. In 2.23, blockchain and AI is an emerging technology, and use of blockchain and AI in industry itself is evolving. The CA firms is far away. Number of points for this is 8. Very few firms would score on this account. The basis of scoring talks of only audit and also talks of audit and analytical tool being used for entities covered by mandatory AQMM, which is already covered elsewhere. Training, therefore, will need to be an ongoing process and not just for keeping CPR, to ensure that the people are regularly updated and records and attendance are kept. That too across the board for articles, audit assistant, apart from the qualified and semi-qualified assistant. The firm will need an HR department to monitor and maintain logs for individual staff training, as only structured CPS may not be adequate, as most of the junior level personnel would be non-CAs. So one will have to start maintaining logs to ensure that they give at least 60 hours of training in a year. Mid-level people, the way I look at these three levels is the junior level are anybody other than the qualified chartered accountant. Mid-level are the chartered accountants, and partners are the partners. So I would presume that my 20 hours of CPE is already covered. Over and above that, I just have to do 10 more hours of training. I have to keep records of that. I have to keep records of all my staff for them to do 60 hours, which means is that I need a structured HR team to take care of this, because I do not have the time to take care of all of these records. And if I start telling my partners to do it, engagement would take a beating. Resource turnover and compensation management. 2.31, once again, deals with the team strength and number of managers, partners, audit assistant, article similar to 2.15, which we spoke earlier. Employee turnover ratio is to be computed for the 3-year period of review or the last year. That clarity is not there in the IG also. There are points for employee turnover ratio. So do I do number of people who were there average during the 3-year period for my review, or do I do it only in the last year? That needs to be clarified for me to score points on this. In which size firm, the junior staff and articles are never fixed for assignment, and depending upon the availability, they are allocated to various assignments. The meaning and context of revolving door is not understood, and even the IG doesn't clarify what is the meaning of revolving door. So this point needs more clarity. Even I am not clear what exactly do they mean by saying the revolving door policy. 2.39, the question is not clear. How is diversity going to enhance quality? I have more women in my office than men, but that itself does not enhance quality. Having a gender balanced team cannot be a parameter for audit quality. Further, the meaning of coaching and mentoring program investment, especially for employees, is not clear. The terminology is having coaching and mentoring program investment, especially for women employees, gives me points. What exactly is this is not clear. So what is the gender balance that we need? Do we need at least 30% women in office? Do we need 5%? If I have 5 employees, women, is it okay? Do I need to have 40% employees? That point is not clarified in IG for me to score over there. Focus policy support for staff well-being, engagement, and communication. What is the meaning of this and how is this going to be demonstrated? What is meant by staff well-being, engagement, and communication? And what focus policies are we talking about? Does having a medical insurance is adequate for this? Do I need to have some all of us don't have a detailed HR department in office. So how are we going to demonstrate this focus policy support for staff well-being, engagement, and communication? This is a challenge. An established mechanism to listen to people and their views and suggestions. Credible employee survey and its outcome demonstrate how well people are taken care of and heard. While all of us know the meaning of this, in a mid-sized firm which does not have a dedicated HR department, how are all these activities going to get addressed in a mid-sized firm is a challenge. Assessment methodology and evaluation of quality and fitment to the work and culture. While this is adhered to by every firm, the demonstration of this requirement is going to be extremely difficult, that too to a reviewer. Evaluation of quality and fitment to the work and culture. How do I demonstrate when people are fit for the quality and fitment to the work and culture that they have? I know if they are not, that they will be leaving. I will ask them to go and I'll get new people who fit into my work culture in the office. But to say that I have people who fit to my quality and fitment to my work and culture, to demonstrate this is going to be a challenge, especially to a reviewer. I will believe that I have one, but if you say, prove it to me, it's going to be extremely difficult for me to prove that. Are the employees of a firm compensated as per a defined approach where salary is mapped to a knowledge and experience? This once again is something all firms adhere to, but how are they going to demonstrate why a particular employee draws more or less than another employee with different or even small caliber? I have instances where certain rank holders are not as good in audit as certain people who have not got a rank. So can I pay the rank holder less than the other people? Because it's the caliber by which you handle the work. Experience knowledge is one aspect which gets defined by degree obtained and number of years of membership. There are intangible as employees' personality, acceptability to client, leadership skills, ability to handle pressure, and diligence. How is that going to get demonstrated to the reviewer, because of which I pay a particular X or Y more than A or a B? And what am I don't want to keep it on record also that A, X or Y is good in these things. That's why I'm paying him more. Because that is the call that the management is taken in retaining him. Because he has acceptability to clients, he has leadership skills, he can handle pressure, he does work diligently, as against someone who is passed with a rank. I'm not saying that that knowledge is just one aspect. The other personality of the person is equally important for us to evaluate and compensate a person. While we do this, how are we going to demonstrate it to the reviewer to say that I have a policy and I don't have favoritism? Qualification, skill set of employees and use of experts. Number of CS as a percentage of total staff. This number can be skewed due to non-availability of junior staff or article, and such firms end up doing work which need not be done by them, but they will get points. Post-qualification experience. So here is a percentage of, if I get chartered accountant, I don't get junior staff or articles. The work which a junior staff or article can do may be done by a chartered accountant. I'll get more points for it, although it is economically not beneficial. Post-qualification experience obtained like DISA, CISA, etc. The AQM says that a firm which are not engaged in services or audit which requires such qualification must not be rated. Does it mean that both the numerator and denominator must be adjusted for deriving the percentage? The IG does not clarify this. So when I don't do work which requires a DISA certification, will those points be removed from my numerator and denominator, or will I get full points? That is not clear. And the methodology to compute needs to be clarified. So my percentage would depend upon both the numerator and denominator not having those numbers. Performance evaluation measures carried out by the firm KPIs. Requires a well-defined and written KPI for performance evaluation of the firm and the partners. This needs to be implemented, documented, and monitored for the purpose of scoring in this section, which is 8 points. Requires method of measurement and evaluation as mentioned above. The IG speaks of various criteria like net partner score, client lifespan value, client acquisition cost, customer churn rate, average revenue per client. Most of these criteria have no relation or have a negative relation to the audit quality. But do I give somebody who spends time in maintaining and acquiring a client? Why should that be given a point in audit quality? So that's a commercial consideration. I may decide that this partner is very good in talking to client and getting work, but when it comes to execution, I need somebody else who's less speaking but does his work diligently. So this is a challenge and how I'm going to be scoring on this. 2.53 requires a decided frequency for the evaluation to be consistently applied. 2.54 requires engagement partners to review based on results of the engagement of each partner. What is the criteria for the review results of engagement? Is it any error or finding by some regulator or FRRB or QRB? What is meant by reviewing them on the basis of results of each partner? The results of the company are seen, but do we need to have an error for me to find out this man did a mistake? So that will be too late for me to give points. If I've had no negative points, then how do I score on this where I give engagement partners when I say I have a policy of compensating engagement partners based on results of the engagement of each partner? This entire exercise needs to be meticulously followed by mid-sized firms and documented for all the senior to junior partner and associate. As stated earlier, would mean the engagement of an HR team to get the documents in order. Again, the HR by themselves may not be experts in our field for them to understand that Mr. A or Miss B as a qualified chartered accountant is more useful than the other one. So, because this is something which only a chartered accountant can, or one who's in practice can understand and appreciate. So as a summary on section 2, all mid-sized firms wanting to score and raise their level in the AQMM matrix need to have a dedicated HR and admin section and start documenting many of these requirements for the satisfaction of the external reviewer. The entire process needs to be studied and run through for the purpose of fine-tuning, which with the back-to-back compliance deadlines is a major challenge. This may need a mega and concentrated one-time push. If ICAI through Committee of for Members in Practice or the BCS through its own initiative engaged with a large HR consulting firm and prepares a model which can be easily scaled to size for all small and mid-sized firms with advisory and documentation technological tools, it will make the implementation of AQMM easier and fruitful. So my recommendation to maybe the Committee for Members in Practice or even maybe to BCS, who's quite forthcoming in all of these things, engage with an HR consulting firm, identify a few of them, let them prepare models which can be adhered to and applied by various small and mid-sized firms. I'm not saying give it free, but I must have a reference point. Where do I go and ask for an HR consulting firm who will be able to give me this? We have to first get maybe a dozen firms to understand this and have models. And based on my size, can scale it up or down. So either CMP or BCS or both should look at this initiative to engage with HR consulting firm to help CA firms to adopt these models. The last section is on strategic and functional. Total score is 80. 3.1 points are given for experience of partner as a partner. The more the number of partners who have completed more than 5 years, the better the score. However, the IG speaks of an anomaly where it says the more experienced partner means more chances of bias view and lowering of audit quality. So the IG, this line is very, very confusing as to, because as for the pure scoring, if I have 5 partners who are more than 5 out of total 7 partners, I should score more. But here it says, the IG says of an anomaly where it says the more experienced partner means more chances of biased view and lowering of audit quality. So does it mean that people like me have a biased view and audit quality is low? I don't know, because I'm in practice from 35 years now. Points are given for having a whistleblower policy. The firm will have to develop a whistleblower policy internally, both for assurance and non-assurance work, including human relations. This again is a challenge for mid-sized firms who need to address them. 3.22 points can be scored for the number of branches in network. The bigger the size, the more the score. 3.25, is the infrastructure adequate in terms of internet, intranet, network bandwidth, VPN, Wi-Fi, etc. for remote working? Even today, the bandwidth is inadequate in large organizations. All of us have seen how audit committee happen, and suddenly you cannot hear especially during the COVID period. We all struggled with having a structured meeting even for an AGM. So how are we going to demonstrate that we have, because it's on that day the bandwidth may not work when the peer reviewer comes. I have on record a good bandwidth, but on the day he comes to check, the bandwidth doesn't work, and this happens. And what exactly is adequate? Because it carries 12 points in my whole score, which I've already said, this is much more than what I have for an audit manual. So these are challenges. The list which is given in the IG seems to be more for a IT company rather than for a CA firm. The number of people, users, and the bandwidth that one is supposed to have. So one needs to address this or get more guidance on this. Otherwise, scoring here is going to be difficult. Points can be scored for the number of branches in network. The bigger the size, the more the score. There are some anomalies in IG which speaks of team size per branch, speaks of metro and tier 1 cities. All these are not there in the main AQMM. So where the firm has only one office, does it score any point at all, or will it get 0? Will I get less than 3? Will I get 1? That is not clear. Are branch level activities centralized or decentralized in accounting, payroll, or invoicing? How does this impact audit quality? And the reason for inclusion is not known. Further, centralized processes get higher score than decentralized process. Physical and logical security of information are extended. IG speaks of CCTV, security, logs, access control, etc. Most of these in large cities are at the building level, and how this is to be demonstrated to get a score is a challenge. No one leaves office unlocked and open to all. So we should all score points on this, but giving points on this because access control, we only allow those who are employees to come inside. We don't have security guards at our office because the building has a security guard. In Mumbai, we all have security guards at the building level and not at the office level. So what do they mean? We don't have CCTV in office. Again, CCTV, if I have a CCTV, my people are sitting outside, they would feel that I don't trust them and I'm keeping a watch on them. So it actually becomes negative for the trust factor for the employees. So is the infrastructure adequate in terms of intranet bandwidth, VPN? Even today, I think I've dealt with measurement of adequate, it carries 12 marks. So final summary on this, there is no doubt that this AQM is a long overdue evaluation mechanism, which is going to go a long way in improving audit quality and also measuring audit quality. All mid-sized firms have no option but to implement the AQM in full earnestness if they want to be put on the scale of audit quality and audit firm maturity. The implementing issues listed in these slides are those that every mid-sized firm needs to address, which is going to eat into compliance time or is going to increase costs for having a dedicated team to handle them. The implementation guides also needs further modification to balance its views with those of AQMM and the practical difficulty, as many of the guides are under an idealistic situation for a large corporate enterprise. The assessment of various parameters to really conclude one way or the other is going to be a challenge, as it is difficult to give objective scores to subjective issues. This also includes considerable working and documentation to be maintained by firms, including rolling out new policies, procedures for the purpose of implementation, maintenance and monitoring of the process of, especially HR processes. Now, assuming that I have engaged an HR entity, he set up policies, and I have implemented them in the month of March 2023. My review period is 1st April 20 because my last year review was till March 20. The review period is 1st April 20 to 31st March 23. In March 23, I have a place in. Will I get points? Will I not get points? It's not clear because during the period I did not, because this whole thing became mandatory only in August 22. That's when I woke up and said that, no, I have policy, but I don't have document. Let me set up a system. I have set up a system. So what happens to my score for the next peer review for 20 to 23? That needs some clarity. Thank you.